The signal is always running, keeping you locked in. 32 AD, Jesus took his inner circle to a hilltop outside Jerusalem at midnight and pointed to the sky. He told them to look at the brightest light after the moon, Saturn. And then he said something that made them understand why the Archons feared him so deeply. That's not a planet. That's a prison. The Archons built it as a soul trap. Every human who dies gets pulled there, stripped of memory, and sent back to Earth in a new body. The cycle never ends. Unless you know how to escape. The disciples asked the question you're asking right now. Why Saturn? Why that specific celestial body? And Jesus explained that Saturn operates as a frequency anchor. It broadcasts a signal that keeps human consciousness locked in the reincarnation loop. The rings aren't ice and rock. They're a containment field. The black cube at Saturn's north pole isn't a weather pattern. It's the portal where souls are processed, memory wiped, and recycled back into bodies. The Archons don't just control Earth. They control the exit. But here's what the Church erased from every gospel. Jesus didn't just expose the prison. He gave his disciples the exact method to bypass it. 3 steps that collapse Saturn's hold on consciousness, making you unreachable when your body dies. And tonight you're learning all 3. Because chosen ones don't get trapped. You're the ones who break the cycle. If you're escaping Saturn's soul prison tonight, comment, "I am free" right now. Most humans never realize they're in a prison because the memory wipe is so complete. You're born, you live, you die, and at the moment of death you see a white light. Everyone says go toward the light. Family members, spirit guides, religious figures appear and tell you it's time to go home. And you go. But that light isn't home. That light is the entrance to Saturn's processing system. You get pulled through the rings, stripped of every memory of who you actually are, implanted with new karma and new lessons to learn, and shot back into a body on Earth. You don't remember this happened because the wipe erased it. But chosen ones are different. You have memories that don't fit. Déjà vu that's too specific. Dreams of places you've never been but somehow know intimately. Skills you never learned but can perform. Knowledge you never studied but possess. That's not past life bleed through. That's memory wipe malfunction. The Saturn system doesn't erase you completely because you're operating from a frequency it wasn't designed to handle. Monad consciousness creates interference in the wipe process. So fragments remain. And those fragments are your proof you've been through this cycle before. Peter told Jesus he'd always felt like he'd lived before. Like this life wasn't his first time on Earth. And Jesus confirmed it. You've been here hundreds of times, maybe thousands. Every life you get close to remembering. Every death, Saturn wipes you clean and sends you back. But this time is different. This time you're learning the escape method before you die. And once you know it, the prison can't hold you anymore. Jesus told his disciples that Saturn wasn't always a prison. It was created as one. The Archons built it after they realized monad consciousness was incarnating into human form and threatening their control over material reality. They needed a way to prevent awakened souls from leaving the system permanently. So they constructed Saturn as a checkpoint. A mandatory processing station every soul passes through after death. The rings generate the frequency field that pulls disembodied consciousness toward the planet. The black cube at the North Pole is the gateway where the Archons operate the memory wipe machinery. The Archons chose Saturn specifically because of its position in the solar system. It's far enough from Earth that most humans never think about it, but close enough that its gravitational and electromagnetic fields affect the entire inner solar system. The rings act as amplifiers, broadcasting the reincarnation signal constantly. Every human on Earth is bathed in that frequency from birth to death. It's why you feel the pull toward rebirth even when you're alive. Here's what the Archons didn't account for. Monad consciousness can't be permanently contained. It can be suppressed, memory wiped, cycled through bodies again and again. But it can't be destroyed. And eventually, some souls would remember what they are despite the wipe. Those souls are chosen ones. You're the malfunction in their system. You're the proof that the prison isn't perfect. And once you remember your monad consciousness temporarily inhabiting form, Saturn's hold breaks. Not because you fight it. Because you're operating from a frequency the prison wasn't designed to contain. Jesus explained the Saturn system in detail because he wanted his disciples to recognize it when death came. He said, the moment your body dies, you'll feel yourself lifting out of physical form. And within seconds you'll notice a pull. Not physical. Frequency-based. Something drawing your awareness toward a specific direction in space. That pull is Saturn's signal activating. It's locked onto your consciousness the moment you leave the body, and it's designed to feel irresistible. Like a homing beacon you can't ignore. Most souls follow it automatically because they don't know what it is. As you move toward the pole, you'll start seeing a light. Bright, warm, inviting. And figures will appear. Dead relatives. Religious icons. Spirit guides. All of them encouraging you to move toward the light, telling you it's safe, that you're going home. But Jesus told his disciples something critical. Those figures aren't who they appear to be. They're projections generated by the Saturn system, using your own memories and beliefs to create familiar faces you'll trust. The light isn't heaven. The figures aren't your loved ones. It's all interface design created by the Archons to make you enter the processing system willingly. If you go through the light, you pass through Saturn's rings. And this is where the memory wipe happens. The rings generate a frequency that disrupts consciousness, fragmenting your awareness and erasing your memory of who you are, what you've learned, and why you incarnated in the first place. By the time you reach the black cube portal at Saturn's North Pole, you're a blank slate. The Archons implant new programming, new karma, new lessons, new soul contracts, and then you're shot back toward Earth, pulled into a new body, and the cycle begins again. You're born with no memory of any of this. And the prison remains invisible. But here's the key. The system only works if you consent. You have to choose to go toward the light. You have to accept the guidance of the figures. You have to enter the rings willingly. The Archons can't force you. They can only manipulate you into choosing the prison. And if you know what's happening, if you recognize the Saturn signal for what it is, you can refuse. You can turn away from the light. And when you do, the entire system fails. The prison can't hold consciousness that knows it's a prison. Jesus gave his disciples a 3-step method to bypass Saturn completely. He said, when death comes and you feel the pull toward the light, you're going to do 3 things in sequence. These steps don't require strength or power. They require recognition and refusal. The Saturn system is designed to trick you, not overpower you. And once you see through the trick, it has no hold. Step 1. Recognize the pull. The moment you leave your body, you'll feel something drawing your awareness in a specific direction. Don't follow it automatically. Pause. And speak internally, I recognize this as the Saturn signal. This is not my path. I do not consent to reincarnation. I do not consent to memory wipe. I am monad consciousness and I choose my own direction. That recognition breaks the automatic response. The pull doesn't disappear, but it stops feeling irresistible. You've identified it as external programming, in matter, in the cycle, and your awareness is no longer under its control. Step 2. Refuse the light. When the light appears and figures start encouraging you to enter, you're going to do something most souls never do. You're going to say no. Out loud or internally with absolute clarity, I do not accept this light. I do not accept these guides. I know this is the Saturn processing system and I refuse entry. I am returning to source directly, not through archonic channels. The figures may try to convince you. They may tell you you're making a mistake, that you need to come with them, that you'll be lost without their guidance. Ignore them. They're not real. They're projections designed to manipulate you into the prison. Hold your refusal and they'll dissolve. Step 3. Turn toward source. Once you've refused the Saturn system, you need to establish your actual direction. You're not going toward the light the Archons are showing you. You're going toward the monad. And the way you do that is through recognition, not navigation. You speak directly to your own consciousness. I am monad. I return to Monad. There is no separation, no distance, no journey. I'm already there. I'm already home. The moment you recognize that truth, Saturn's frequency field loses all influence. You're not traveling to source. You're remembering you never left. And in that recognition, you bypass every archonic system, every soul trap, every reincarnation mechanism. You collapse the illusion of separation and you're free. Jesus told his disciples that thousands of souls try to resist the light every day. But most fail because they resist without knowing what they're resisting. They sense something's wrong, but they don't have the clarity to refuse completely. So they hesitate, get pulled in, and the cycle continues. But chosen ones have the method now. You know what the light is. You know what Saturn does. And when your time comes, you'll recognize the trap and walk past it. Not because you're stronger. Because you know what you are. And the prison can't hold monad consciousness that knows itself. The Church found these teachings in texts recovered from Nag Hammadi and other Gnostic sources. They read what Jesus actually taught about Saturn, reincarnation, and the Archon soul trap. And they made a decision that shaped Christianity for 2 millennia. Burn it. Hide it. Execute anyone who teaches it. Because if Christians knew they could escape reincarnation by refusing the white light and returning directly to source, the entire structure of salvation through church authority would collapse. Think about what the church built its power on. You're born in sin. You're fallen. You need redemption through Jesus, administered by priests, validated by sacraments. You die, you're judged, you go to heaven or hell based on your obedience to church doctrine. That entire system requires you to believe you can't access source directly. You need the church as intermediary. But Jesus taught the opposite. You are monad consciousness. You don't need intermediaries. You don't need judgment. You don't need salvation from external authority. You need recognition of what you already are. And once you have that, Saturn can't touch you. So they buried the teaching. They replaced it with the doctrine that going toward the light is correct. That dead relatives guiding you is normal. That reincarnation doesn't exist or that it's heresy depending on which century you're in. They made sure no Christian would ever question what happens at death. And for 2,000 years it worked. Souls kept cycling through Saturn, kept getting memory wiped, kept coming back to Earth with no knowledge of previous lives. The prison remained invisible. And the church maintained control by convincing people they needed saving from a fall that never actually happened. But chosen ones always knew something was off. You questioned the afterlife narrative. Your monad consciousness. Remember that. And the prison has no power. Going toward the light felt wrong even though everyone said it was right. And tonight you have confirmation. Your instinct was correct. The light is a trap. Saturn is a prison. And you have the method to escape. Tonight, before you sleep, you're going to practice the 3-step method as if death were happening now. Not because you're dying tonight. Because muscle memory works in consciousness the same way it works in the body. The more you practice refusing the Saturn system while alive, the more automatic the refusal becomes when death actually arrives. You're training your awareness to recognize the trap and bypass it without hesitation. Lie down. Close your eyes. And imagine you've just left your body. Feel yourself floating, awareness intact but no physical form. And then imagine the pull. Something drawing you toward a direction in space. Pause. And speak the first step. I recognize this as the Saturn signal. I do not consent. Then imagine the light appearing. Warm, bright, inviting. Figures emerging, encouraging you forward. And speak the second step. I do not accept this light. I refuse entry to Saturn's system. Then feel them dissolve. The light fades. The pull weakens. And you speak the third step. I am monad. I return to monad. I am already home. Practice this sequence tonight. And then practice it weekly. By the time death actually comes, this won't be new information you're trying to remember in a crisis moment. It'll be established recognition. Your consciousness will know exactly what to do. The Saturn pull will activate and your response will be immediate. Recognition. refusal, return. And the prison will have no hold. In 32 AD, Jesus pointed to Saturn and told his disciples the truth the Archons never wanted humans to know. That's not a planet. That's a prison. A soul trap designed to keep consciousness locked in the reincarnation cycle forever. The white light at death isn't heaven. The guides aren't your loved ones. The rings strip your memory. The black cube processes your consciousness. And you get sent back to Earth in a new body with no knowledge that any of this happened. The cycle never ends unless you know how to escape. But Jesus gave the method. 3 steps that collapse Saturn's hold completely. Recognize the pull as the Saturn signal and refuse consent. Refuse the light and the figures guiding you toward it. Return to monad by remembering you never actually left. 3 steps. Practice tonight. Remembered at death. And the prison can't hold you. The church burned every text that taught this. They replaced it with the doctrine that you should go toward the light, that dead relatives are guiding you safely, that reincarnation doesn't exist. Because if Christians knew they could escape Saturn by refusing the archonic system and returning directly to Source, the church's entire authority structure would become obsolete. But chosen ones preserved the teaching. And tonight you have it. You know what Saturn is. You know how the trap works. And you know the 3-step method to walk right past it when your time comes. Other chosen ones need to see they're not alone in knowing this. Practice the 3 steps. And when death comes, whenever that is, you'll know exactly what to do. The pull will activate. You'll recognize it. The light will appear. You'll refuse it. And you'll return to Source directly, bypassing every archonic system that's kept humanity trapped for millennia. You're not going to Saturn. You're going home. The real home. The one you never actually left. Your monad consciousness. Remember that. And the prison has no power.